Many Azimio supporters acknowledge the fact that Azimio made mistakes in the 2022 elections. Yeah, there's some things they should have done that may have produced different results from what we saw. Many wise Azimio supporters acknowledge this fact. But in my opinion, most have failed to acknowledge the most important political mistake, the most critical, the biggest political mistake that Azimio made. And this will surprise many. And this is what it is. Azimio thought they were competing with William Samoei Ruto at the same level, on equal terms. And yet the reality was they were trying to get William Samoei Ruto out of power. Now, I know many may not agree with what I'm saying, but hear me out. Remember, Ruto was already in government. Indeed, Ruto was in government for 10 years. Yeah. And very important, between 2013 and 2015-2016 there, Ruto was the main driving force, the main influence within government. Remember, even government appointments, Ruto got the lion's share in many instances. In other words, even if you clip the wings of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto at the time, his network, his influence within government was still intact. He still had his people in that government everywhere, even when he clipped his wings. And therefore that meant, in reality, he remained powerful. And so when the 2022 presidential elections came along, the issue was removing Ruto from power. Now we know in Africa, removing a leader from power, hey, ni kazi. It is not easy. The truth, and nothing but the truth, and I know it will not be taken very well by Azimio supporters, but it is the truth and it will remain the truth, is that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga did not have the late President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi's wisdom. Let me tell you a brief story. In 1982, Moi decided to get rid of a very powerful man, indeed the most powerful man at that time in government, a man called Charles Mugane Njonjo. And there was a commission of inquiry where all kinds of accusations were brought against Njonjo. Yeah, of course, he was later forgiven. But take careful note of what Moi did, even as he got rid of Njonjo. He made a very spirited effort to dismantle his power and influence in government. For starters, Moi called for a snap election in 1983. The only reason for that election was to get rid of Njonjo sympathizers, Njonjo networks in Kenyan politics. Moi used information from the intelligence service to get rid of all people who backed or sympathized with Charles Njonjo. Yeah, people were known to the public, people who many people knew were supporters and sympathizers of Njonjo, and even people who many Kenyans did not know about, but the intelligence community knew about them. They all had to go. Now, watching all this from a distance, it seemed like an overkill. Yeah, Njonjo is out of government. Why now make these other people suffer because of Njonjo? After all, you can turn them. That's how it looked. But looking back today, considering what happened after that, that was the right call. And this is the bit of wisdom that escaped the handshake brothers. And in my opinion, it came back to bite them, and to bite them big time. Because the truth is, to pull off what he managed to pull off, Ruto would not have done it without support from government. That is the truth. And there was plenty of warning that this thing would come back to bite. For instance, If you are following Itumbi on Twitter, yeah, and his intelligence service where he revealed so many things, exposed so many things that were being done very deep in government. Because, for instance, President Uhuru Kenyatta would have a meeting deep inside State House, and Ruto people would know. Itumbi would release information, yeah, meaning that there was somebody inside. There were people right inside who are leaking this information to Ruto. Yeah. So already that was a red flag that should never have been ignored. Action should have been taken immediately, yeah, before it was too late. Now don't get me wrong. The determination by the handshake brothers, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, that Kenya would have a free and fair election without any government interference, that was very noble. It was the right thing to do. However, even in doing that, they should have acknowledged that the influence of Ruto as deputy president at the time was immense. It was huge, and it was countrywide. And this would help him, yeah, get things done that would leave Kenyans shocked. Because that is precisely what ended up happening, yeah, isn't it? So there you are. The big mistake was that this was not an election competing against Ruto. This was an election which attempted to remove Ruto from power. Yeah, and of course that failed. Now, super fascinating, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta used the same tactics after he left power. I'm afraid this information is very sensitive, and it is in my weekly intelligence briefings number 95. You can see details on your screen. Go for it and get this information. I think Kenyan politics is always interesting. It is like a thriller movie. Always on the edge of your seat. Yeah, as long as you know what's happening, and as long as you realize what is really happening. Because there are people who look at things very casually. They don't take a deeper look. Yeah, we on this channel take a very deep look. And it is always a thriller movie. Oh yes. Moto kuliko pasi ya makaa. Until next time, this is Chris. Kumekucha.